In this video, you will learn a little more about hostess etiquette and the main mistakes people make when receiving guests. Hi, how are you? Welcome to the Etiquette and Protocol channel. I'm Juliana Santiago, etiquette teacher and consultant, co-founder of the Etiquette and Protocol Institute. In this video, I'm going to show you the main mistakes that hostesses make, that people make when hosting at home, whether they're receiving friends or family, in more formal situations, or even in more informal ones like a barbecue, a happy hour with friends, or even a more casual event. One thing that happens in general, and as a teacher in this field for almost 10 years I've noticed, is that people feel very insecure when it comes to hosting you at home. They want to do their best for their guests. They often end up worrying about the food, whether the food will be good, whether their guest will eat. And many times they make mistakes and miss out on the details. So in this video, I'm going to show you 10 mistakes that I see people make, that people make quite often, and I don't want you to feel insecure or make any of these mistakes. The first one is spending the whole time in the kitchen, trying to make sure your guests are well taken care of, serving them in the best way, offering good food, and making sure they don't miss anything. Many hostesses waste time in the kitchen, so they spend a lot of time cooking and preparing food for their guests. They don't organize themselves before the event, and then on the day of the event, during the event itself, they have to be away from the reception area for a long time. They end up staying in the kitchen, preparing things and keeping the service going, which isn't ideal. It's essential for us to have a clear idea that when you're hosting at home, you need to enjoy the moment with your guests. What is most precious nowadays? It's time. So if you dedicate your time to someone and that person also wants to spend time with you, wants to come to your house, to your home, to spend time with you, it's essential that you enjoy that moment by their side. Enjoy that opportunity to be with them. So if you spend all your time in the kitchen, you don't enjoy your own gathering, you don't spend time with your guests, which isn't good for anyone. The second point is not introducing your guests. It often happens that you host different groups. Sometimes you invite a couple from work along with, a couple from your family, for example, a pair of cousins, and you end up inviting various groups to your gathering. Especially if it's a small event where there are fewer people, it's very important that you remember to introduce your guests, right? So that they can start a conversation and feel included in that experience, in that moment, in that time spent there with you. Introducing guests the right way, we should follow some introduction protocols. So it's essential that you say the person's name and also try to link a common topic to make both people comfortable and help them start to connect. When these people start to connect with each other and you feel that the conversation is flowing, that it's happening for everyone and everyone is participating, it becomes very interesting because it's natural that you, as the hostess, will need to step away at times. And then, if everyone is comfortable and well integrated, your absences won't be so noticeable, they won't be so obvious to your guests. Of course, we shouldn't spend all our time in the kitchen, but it's natural that you need to step away at certain moments during your gathering. So I don't want you to spend all your time in the kitchen, but I know you'll need to step away. So introduce your guests and use some introduction protocols, okay? I'm not going to go into detail about introduction protocols, precedents when introducing, or the correct way to introduce yourself, because that could be content for an exclusive video. And if you like the idea, I can come back and make a video here for the channel talking only about this topic. Comment here what you think. Continuing here with our mistakes, the next one is trying to make a new recipe on the day you're having people over at your house. I know that when we're having people over, we want to make some different dishes, sometimes a snack you saw on the internet and thought the recipe was interesting. But it's essential that you stay in your comfort zone, especially when it comes to recipes. So make dishes you're already used to and that you know will turn out well, right? Recipes that you already know work well, that people like, that you do well. Trying new recipes on the day you're having guests over can be risky because that recipe might not turn out right, and you might also end up feeling very insecure while making it, which won't be good for your guests. So it's best to choose a more comfortable and secure option for yourself. Remember that being a good hostess doesn't mean you have to prepare all the food, right? You're going to cook all the food. No, that's not necessarily going to be necessary. You can host at home serving some food you bought from a restaurant you like or that you hired from a chef. No problem, okay? You don't necessarily have to make the food yourself, okay? But if you decide to cook and you enjoy it, try to stay in a more comfortable zone. Another mistake is starting to wash the dishes with your guests during your reception. Many people do this with the goal of organizing the house after dinner or after lunch. They start cleaning the house, especially the dishes, during the reception while the guests are still present. One fact is that when you are going to host at home, you need to understand that your reception, it starts when the first guest arrives and it ends when the last guest leaves. So if you start tidying up your house before the guests leave, first they will think they need to help you clean up the house. And if your goal there is to invite people to spend time with them, you are dedicating yourself to them, so you don't need to make them help you. Your guests shouldn't have that responsibility. And the second point is that they might take it as a sign that it's time to leave. So sometimes you don't even want your guests to leave, but they end up rushing because they feel like they're getting in the way. So there's no need for you to start cleaning your house or washing the dishes while your guest is still there during the gathering. Of course, it will be necessary for you to clear the dirty plates. So you can gather up the things, there's no problem with that. In fact, I recommend that you do that. Keep the area where your guests are clean. But you should only take the plate, bring it to the kitchen or to a specific area. You can even leave it in the sink, but then you go back to the reception. It's like I said at the beginning of the video, of course, as the hostess, you will get up at certain moments to go to the kitchen, get some food, grab something, put something in the oven to heat up. But this needs to be quick. You go and you come back. This will give a sense of continuity to the event, because if you disappear for too long, people will start to feel like they're being a bother to you. And that's not what hosting is about. If you're willing to host at your house, to open your home to your guests, you really need to be willing to be with them and understand that washing and organizing things will have to wait until after they leave or the next day. Another point about planning for hosting is when the hostess isn't ready. So many people, when they're about to have guests over, the time comes for their guests to arrive and they're not ready to welcome them. So if you scheduled an event, for example, at 8 o'clock in the evening, you need to be ready around 7:30. You need to factor in the time you spend getting ready as part of your event planning and hosting time. The planning time isn't calculated only by the time you spend organizing the reception, but the time you spend getting ready is also very important. So if you spend 2 hours getting ready and your event is at 8 and you need to be ready by 7:30, around 5:30, you should already be getting ready, because then you'll spend your 2 hours and by 7:30 you'll be ready. So it's important for us to calculate that. I know that these planning and hosting details might even seem simple to some people, but over time, after training thousands of people in this area of hosting at home so that people can host better, this is one of the mistakes I see as one of the most common ones that people make. In fact, if you want to know more about hosting at home, to understand a little more about what you should have to host better, how to actually host better, I have a free resource, an ebook that you can download for free. Just click on the first link that's here in the description of this video and you can download this material. It's even showing up here on the screen for you, just a little bit of it, so you can understand how to receive better and improve yourself at your events, okay? I'll leave the link here in the video description. Don't forget to download this material. It's free and available to everyone who follows me. And the next mistake actually was one that a follower commented here on the channel, Viviane De Paula. She said, "Sorry for changing the subject, but I'd like to suggest a tips video for hosts." Viviane, I'm recording this video because you suggested it. I've been in situations where the host almost forced me to eat more than I wanted, asking things like, "Are you going to be rude?" Another situation is when the host offers a dessert that's big enough to serve 2 people. Sometimes it's a cake in a jar or a dish that the person already prepares, individual portions. She mentions here that she felt very embarrassed and ate more than she wanted to. Thank you very much, and I wish you an excellent week. Thank you, Viviane. Thank you for your comment. And Viviane, this is definitely a mistake people make when they have guests at home. Often people, even with the intention of impressing their guests, end up making desserts like jar desserts, or they serve a small individual flan or a jar cake from a brand they like. And these are large portions that come in big quantities. And many times after you've already had lunch where there was an appetizer, a salad or a soup, then you had a main course and then you follow it up with a dessert that's also very big, you might end up feeling like you ate too much and you wouldn't have wanted to eat that much. When we're served a dessert or any food, anything in an individual portion or even a soup, a little broth, we get that feeling that we need to eat it all. And really, to be polite, right, for the guest to please the host, it's nice if they taste everything that was offered to them. But hosts often exaggerate with the amount, which isn't good for the guest. That's why, in this sense, I recommend that you let the guest choose the amount they want to serve themselves. I know that sometimes a dessert in individual cups or a shepherd's pie served individually can seem much more charming and can give that chef or even restaurant vibe. But one of the pillars of hosting at home is making people feel good, making them feel comfortable, making sure we can turn our house into a home for them. And turning your house into a home for someone is definitely letting them make choices, even if they're small. Many times the person is already presented with a menu and sometimes they'll eat just to please you. But the portion you served is so big and then there will be leftovers. You'll be upset because there's food left. The person will be upset because you're upset, and so on. Let your guests choose the amount they want, and that's why you should choose baking dishes, serving platters, communal dishes, so the person can go serve themselves, and that's it. They choose the amount of food they want. Another mistake, still talking about service, serving food to your guest, is the model you choose to serve food at your event. There are a few types of service, right? So there's the service American style, which is more like a buffet, and there's the Franco-American style, where people have a seat at the table, but they serve themselves. Other service models that we also use a lot at receptions are the Brazilian style and also the family style, where the food is on the table and everyone serves themselves there. There are some service models that are more popular in restaurants and others that are more popular in homes. And it's important for us to know how to identify which number of people that service model will work for, because they're all very good, but each service model works for a certain number of people and also for the style of reception you want to offer your guests. So if you want to learn more about hosting at home, about table setting, I will be offering free classes on this topic. These will be online classes where you can improve your skills in the art of hosting at home, so you can host with more confidence, in a more assertive way, and with better planning. Of course, all of this following the rules of etiquette. If you click on the first link in the description below, you'll be directed to a WhatsApp group. In this group, besides having access to these classes, you'll also receive some material, a checklist about hosting at home. So you can see the essential products you need to have in your home kit, important details when hosting. I'm sure you'll really like this material. This material is free and it will be available in the group, okay? In this group then, I will send you the free material, this checklist, so you can host at home much better. And I will also send you the links to the classes on hosting at home and table setting. I'm waiting for you there. The first link that's in the description of this video. Now, continuing with the host's mistakes, another very common mistake is the host who doesn't check for possible dietary restrictions or even allergies and preferences of their guests. Of course, it's very hard for us to create a menu that everyone likes, that everyone approves of. But whenever you're going to host at home, check if that guest has any dietary restrictions, if they have any allergies, because people often change. I once had a friend over who had become a vegetarian. I hadn't seen her in a long time and I didn't know about it. And then when she arrived at my house, this was many years ago, when I started hosting, she told me about it. At the time, I was kind of like, wow, what am I going to do? Luckily, I had other menu options that weren't related to meat. She ate cheese and that was my luck. So if you don't want to go through what I went through, always check with your guests about their dietary restrictions, okay? Of course, you don't need to tell your guests the entire menu, but especially the main course, it's a good idea to mention it, because that way you can identify details about your guest, okay? Especially in the case of restrictions. Imagine if someone is allergic to shrimp and you serve shrimp, that's not good. Now, talking a little about the menu, it's important for us to think about an appropriate menu. Whenever we're planning a reception, there's always going to be some guidance. So, for example, if it's a lunch, what am I going to choose to serve there? What kind of approach am I going to take for this lunch? Is it going to be a more informal lunch? For example, am I going to serve feijoada? Or is it a more formal lunch where I want to serve options like fish, meat, and have a variety there for my guests? Your event will always have the style that you want to bring to it. So, according to the style you want to bring to your event, we need to create an appropriate menu. For example, if I decide to invite some friends over for a barbecue has its own style where we expect certain types of food. And in it, the main star is the meat, right? But it's definitely interesting for us to add other things like some cheese, garlic bread, or sausage to bring a bit of variety to my menu. Besides the meat, another big factor that people often forget at a barbecue is to include side dishes, the famous garnishes. So it's a good idea for your barbecue to have what? Some rice, a little farofa, a salad, and some vinaigrette. So it's important for the whole menu to be well put together. There's no point in inviting people to a barbecue and only serving picanha. Does everyone like picanha? The vast majority of people who like barbecue like picanha, but just picanha can get boring. It doesn't make for an interesting menu. So for you to shine there as a good hostess, it's important for you to think about the side dishes and other details that can enhance your event and your menu. So always remember to create a well-aligned menu, Another mistake that also happens a lot at this point in the menu is that often people, in an attempt to please, don't create a cohesive menu. So for example, if she's going to make lunch, then to please the person who likes pasta, she'll make a pasta dish. To please the person who likes Japanese food, she adds it. To please the one who likes meat with risotto, she includes that as well. Can you make a mix there, almost like a tasting at your event? Yes, you can. But that will make you lose money, right? You'll spend money for nothing and your event won't match the menu presented. So making a good choice and presenting a good menu will not only make your event more interesting and pleasant for your guests, making them feel more satisfied even in terms of food, feeling fuller, but it will also help you save money by not spending unnecessarily. And of course, as a hostess, she needs to master table etiquette rules. So whenever we talk about sharing a moment with someone that involves a meal, table etiquette rules will always be a topic because people will be watching you. It will be a moment when everyone is there connecting, watching you, noticing you. And you will attract more attention because you are the hostess. And so you don't make any mistakes. I've already made a video here about etiquette rules, which I'll leave here on the side for you to watch right after this. I'll be waiting for you there. Don't forget about our classes that will be happening on hosting and table setting too. Click the link below to join the WhatsApp group and get all the information. I'll stop here for now. Thank you so much and see you in the next video.